Let me give an introductions first. You probably know these two because they have been everywhere. We are joined by Ashlan and Philippe Cousteau. They are filmmakers, author, environmental advocates. You've seen them on Entertainment Tonight. You have seen them on Shark Week, Nuclear Sharks. Loved that one. You've seen them on the Caribbean Pirate Treasure, Awesome Planet, Oceans, all of those things. And they are here to talk about both of their books. Going Blue, a teen guide to saving our oceans, lakes, rivers, and wetlands, and also Oceans for Dummies. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, indeed.
That was a mouthful.
We try to make it hard.
No, this is so easy. It's so wonderful to talk to you. Because let me first start with this. My first question is this. In Going Blue, Philippe, you talk about how water is everywhere. Or is it? You talk about how water is so important, but it's become big business. So I want to start there. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so Going Blue is really a response to what we see with young people around the world through my work, through my nonprofit Earth Echo International, that young people are concerned about water issues. Certainly, the global water crisis is an issue that affects all of us. And we open the book helping young people understand it and frame the crisis. Because one of the questions we like to ask young and old alike, when you wake up in the morning, what is the first way that you interact with water? And a lot of people will say, oh, I drink water or I brush my teeth. And it's like, well, actually, when you put on your clothes, and you change out of your pajamas, you put on some clothes, you say you put on a cotton t-shirt or jeans, those products consume thousands of gallons of water, right? Enough water, I was reading recently, a pair of jeans is enough water to feed a human being or to quench the thirst of a human being for up to 2 years. So we're interacting with water with the clothes that we wear. When you eat an apple, we're talking hundreds of gallons of water for one single apple. So, the food that you eat, the clothes that you wear, everything you're interacting with requires or required water to get to you. And so that's really the basis that we're trying to establish with the book, is reminding people how connected we are to water every moment of every day.
Well, you two have been out there. You're probably closer to the ocean than most of us. What kind of damage have you two seen? I mean, what's going on with our lakes and rivers and oceans?
There's a lot. Everything from ocean acidification to, our ocean waters are actually warming. To the pollution, and that includes plastic pollution, but also urban pollution and runoff from fertilizers and from our streets and overfishing.
The list goes on.
There's a lot of bad news. And what we really like to try to remind people is the hopefulness, and that our ocean, if we can give it a chance, has an amazing and incredible ability to renew itself. Because we don't want to sustain the ocean as it is now. We want to let it regenerate to the way that it was before. And another thing that people also think about is, oh, if I live in the middle of a country or if I live in a desert, my actions don't affect the ocean. And that is just not true. Really, everything that we do affects the ocean. And on the flip side, our ocean affects everything on this planet, from the rain that falls in our crops inland, from the water that we drink if we live in the desert, to controlling our climate and our weather. And I think that a lot of people forget that, or they don't know that. And we really do just try to remind people every single day that the ocean and lakes and rivers and really the entire water system is part of their life and part of our survival. And it needs some help these days.
I loved how positive your book was, how it gives us ways to address this. But I do have to just go negative for one quick moment. I live in Huntington Beach. I live right off of Talbot Wetlands, and everyone's obviously aware of what just happened. I just would love to have your reactions of what you saw with this, what we can do about this, why wetlands are so important.
Well, both Ashlan and I went down and we're investigating the oil spill a few weeks ago. It's a tragedy. It's a foreseeable tragedy. There's an old saying, it's not if you're going to have an oil spill, it's when. I spent a lot of time covering the BP oil spill, and indeed what we found was, if you look back at the regulatory filings by BP and these oil companies, they're like, this kind of spill will never happen. These
or wellheads will never.
This is worst case scenario. This won't happen. These are foolproof, these wellhead, the blowout preventers. Then we have the worst environmental disaster in American history.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that with oil spills, it's going to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of the rigs off California aren't even economically productive. But it's cheaper to keep them running at a loss than to shut them down for a few years to decommission them, which is crazy. So particularly with the wetlands, what's so scary about that, and we saw this with Louisiana and the BP oil spill, is once that oil gets into that soil and kills the plants and particularly the roots of the grasses that hold that soil together, then you have erosion, and then that wetland goes away, never to come back. It doesn't grow more, right? So it's very, very invasive, very dangerous and detrimental to the health of wetlands, which of course are nurseries for fish, birds, all sorts of wildlife.
And most of the coast of Southern California, the entire state, was one continuous wetland.
I mean,
all the way down.
God, you look at the entire Port of Long Beach was a massive wetland, and 100 years ago, everybody thought, "Ooh, it's smelly, it's gross, let's just get rid of it." Massive wetlands in Los Angeles, all along the coast. Millions of migrating birds, was habitat for fish, so the fisheries along here were much richer. And we just bulldozed it and built whatever we wanted to build. So already we've destroyed the wetlands along the coast. So whatever little bit we have left, we need to protect. And oil spills are a very insidious danger to wetlands.
And we've had to fight for every little one that still remains. As I say, I walk that every day, and it's tragic to see what just happened. So thank you. Let's turn to the positive, though. Your book was so beautifully written in terms of with Going Blue. I love the sections that are teens in action. All of them were specifically located to certain communities and young people who just decide they're going to change the world. Can you tell me why you decided to put those teens in action parts in your book, and then how you see today's generation, like what they can do as well?
Yeah. So, we found over the years that it's very, very important in all of our youth education work to be able to model behavior. It's much easier to look at something and see what other young people have done and then be like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that, but I could do that myself. So we tried to find stories, which isn't hard because young people are doing extraordinary work around the world. Yeah. Try to find stories that demonstrated lots of different young people, different kinds of young people in different situations, right? On the coast, away from the coast, near water, away from water. Just to give a sense to the readers of what's possible, because so much is possible.
And I think that, growing up, people always told our generation that we were the leaders of tomorrow. Tomorrow you can do it, but it's not true. And I think what's so exciting is the generation of today realizes that they're the leaders of today. At 8 years old, they can change an entire city's single-use plastic guidelines. At 14 years old, they can start writing legislature for new buildings in the city of Miami. At any age, people can have, these young people can have a tremendous impact, not only on their family and on their friends, but on their community and on their elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you two also have a next generation behind you that's going to change the world as well. I can hear. So congratulations. Congratulations. So I do want you guys to talk a little bit as well, too, if you don't mind, about a project I know that means so much to you, which is Earth Echo International, right? I mean, this is an organization that, you care deeply about, that you started. Could you tell us about that?
Well, Earth Echo is an organization we've been around 16 years. We're a leading youth environmental education organization based in Washington, D.C., but we have programs all over the world in dozens of countries. We were founded with the belief that, if we're going to build a kind of hopeful, thriving, as Ashlan said, restorative future, that it's going to start with young people. And it's going to start with young people recognizing the importance of protecting our air and our water and shifting how society values those things politically, economically, et cetera. That change starts with young people. And so we have programs, like I said, all over the world, and always are encouraging young people to join us in our work at earthecho.org, where we're doing some really exciting things by bringing communities together, providing resources, tools, trainings, mentorship, community, all sorts of terrific tools for this next generation of really fired up. I mean, I think Ashlan will say the same thing. I know she will. We travel all over the world. There's a lot of problems, but it's when we see how passionate, dedicated, ingenious young people are to solving problems, it's what gives us hope.
Ashlan, you want to join in that?
I agree. I mean, if it wasn't for the incredible young people around the world, I don't know if Philippe and I would have chosen to have a second child. But it's the hope that we see in this future generation that they are, not only do they have to deal with these heavy issues, but they are fired up and they are going to figure them out. And it inspires us every single minute of every single day.
Well, I know you two are incredibly busy. What's up for you two next? What's happening? You got Going Blue. You've got Oceans for Dummies. You've got a new
Yeah.
family member there.
Yeah.
I mean, this just came out just a few months. This is our COVID project, Oceans for Dummies, and it's a book that we're really excited about because it's kind of a foundation for reminding people about the importance of the ocean. Ashlan wrote most of it.
Thank you. Yes.
Another book that I did, Endangers, the second book of my Endangered series, just came out a few weeks ago. So we've been busy with books and working on a couple new projects, some animated shows, etc. Right?
Yeah, and can't wait to get the girls. So we have 2 little girls now. Cannot wait to get out on an expedition with the girls. So
Well, I hope I can wave to you from the coast of Huntington Beach on a nice, clean beach